I was a user of these Travel Go wallet holders, security wallets, for about the last 30 years. I found them to be very good, very secure. They're not perfect, but you know, they work well. But the thing is that for about the last 10 years or so, they've not been available, at least I could find, anywhere on the internet. In fact, the last ones I bought, I think it was in 2009, was a box that someone found in the back of a German warehouse, and I bought some. This is actually the last one I've got. They don't make them anymore. There's no design that's similar to it that I could find. So I thought I'd do a comparison between what I've been using and improvements with the new system. Material, this is just made from very thin leather, which of course is absorbent to sweat. So whilst they put a thin layer of cardboard inside here, of course when you've used it a little bit, it becomes very, very supple. And I know there's a bit of cardboard in there because I've opened up an old one. This alternatively is a faux leather. It's a sort of plastic type material which will basically keep its integrity for far longer than the leather one does. There's no zipper because actually I found that it didn't actually serve any purpose. I think it was designed for coins, but in reality the edge of the zipper lining comes apart quite quickly, and I didn't find that it was useful. Inside the original one you have a compartment to basically have the passport one side and the wallet the other, but this doesn't serve any purpose. Bear in mind these have got no RFID shielding whatsoever, and in fact all this does is provide a pocket that comes to about here, so it means that a larger passport like a UK one doesn't fit anyway, only a European one. The stitching on this is folded across and then sewn. Well, I've only used this one now for about 2 weeks. You can see it's already coming apart. And also there's a weak part at the bottom as well, because there's only a single layer of stitching down here in the material itself, without anything behind it to reinforce. Apart from that, of course, you've got the press stud, which allows the thing to work in the first place by allowing you to put it deep inside your trousers and also to remove it easily. So what I've done is to put two studs because I find that it holds the unit better. There's one pocket that is deep enough to take a larger passport. This has got RFID shielding all the way through, through this. There's one continual sheet for protection, which again this one doesn't do. There's no zipper because, as mentioned, it doesn't actually serve a lot of purpose and it is a weak point of the design. But apart from that, it uses the same type of principle for the unlocking as the other one does. What I have done, however, is to use some canvas strapping. It's about 1mm thick. It's very strong. It will resist being cut by a knife within reason, and you'd certainly be aware if anyone was trying to remove this from your pocket in any case, which of course you wouldn't do with one in your back pocket or even in your front pocket. And this, by the way, was only a piece of leather which did fray quite quickly at the top in any case, so the same type of protection. Now these of course are mass produced, or were mass produced, on industrial machines. I don't have that facility, so all of these are handmade. They take quite a lot of time to make, and there's a lot of processes involved in order to get to the end result. So consequently, considering there's about something like about 20 meters worth of polyester cotton involved, there's bound to be the odd stitching that is slightly out, you know, or not quite straight, but bear in mind these are made by hand on a domestic sewing machine, and you know, I've done as best as I can, but they're not going to be 100% perfect, but they will be pretty close to it, as you can see from the example here. So that's the basic design and differences. One other last thing I'd like to show you on the subject, on the RFID side, is a comparison. I mean, this is a standard RFID type wallet, and all that they basically do is to put a piece of fabric here, a piece of fabric in the middle, which of course for your cash, and also at the front, and then you typically have a flap over the front, which you notice is also this this cloth material. So that relies on that type of closure to work, but it's quite open in a number of places. Bear in mind this is sealed, because when this is down you've got the protection top, bottom, overlap and back, and therefore this design has to be a little bit more robust. RFID is a fabric which is very, very flexible, very thin, and it's effectively metal woven into a thin cloth, and that gives it the ability of blocking radio waves, and that's basically how these things work. It makes a small Faraday cage in effect. However, in saying that, of course, scammers have got ever increasingly more powerful readers and ways to bypass things. However, I have tested the system. I put a standard credit card, a contactless card, inside an empty wallet, because if you have more than one credit card, contactless card, right up against another one, that can also act as a blocker. So to give it a proper test, I just put one card in with nothing else, and put it into a major supermarket, and I swiped it all over the reader, both sides, right up against it a couple of times, and it didn't recognise anything. So it therefore proves that this works, at least, you know, as far as the material is designed to work. This passport holder has been designed to not just, of course, take a wallet, as you would expect, and very neatly inside there too, but also it's designed to take a passport, because of course there's the security issues with contactless, which you see by this logo here. So someone at an airport, very busy airport, could potentially take your identity, so it's important to have RFID within that. As you see, it all fits very neatly. Now, if the UK decides to revert back to the old style passport, or for that matter if the ones in your country are a bit larger, you'll notice that there's a fair difference in size between the two. I've also made this fit inside the wallet, so that if you wanted to, you could also accommodate a larger passport. I'll just close it up so you can see it, but it's pretty obvious that it will. And there you go. If alternatively you don't want to use the passport, then of course you've got extra space for a nice fat wallet. If you carry lots of notes with you, then you've got the extra width to assist that process. This is how you attach the wallet holder to your belt, with a buckle in this form, because bear in mind it's going to be tucked inside your trousers. This loop goes around your belt, and it's flexible so that you can move it so that it holds the wallet around the edge of your hip, but it's secured between both parts of your trouser holders. To operate it, as you see, it's very discreet. You barely notice it from the outside. All you do is you hold the edge of your trousers, you open out the buckle, it then gives you full access to your wallet. The idea, of course, then is that you remove this. Bear in mind there's nothing in here anyway. You use it as you would do normally. You pop it back in, you close the two tabs, which stops anything from falling out, and then you simply pop it back inside the trousers, like so, and reattach the clip. Easy to use as that, and as you see, it's very discreet, very secure. Also, no one can remove this without you being very aware of what's going on, hence the security aspect of the wallet.